Okay, welcome to the 13th lecture of this course. So today, first of all, let us understand that out of the four major sources of power dissipation in the VLSI circuits, we have already discussed and learnt about the most important one, which is the useful part of the power, that is consumption rather, which happens between the VDD and the output node. Okay, so it is all about charging up the output node capacitance or discharging the output node capacitance. That is something which we will use a circuit for. Okay, so an inverter is meant to switch the output voltage of the CO, that is the output node capacitance, from 0 to VDD or from VDD to 0. That's what an inverter is meant for. So that's more like a consumption. So that's why I have dealt with it previously. All right. So in today's lecture, we are going to begin with the three other uh, power dissipation events. And what is the most important part over here is that there is absolutely no reason for us to even tolerate this kind of a power dissipation. I mean, that's totally bad. Okay. So notice that if this is an inverter configuration, static CMOS inverter configuration to be exact, okay, so practically what happens is there will be a short circuit power component which is short circuiting the VDD to the ground. Notice the blue curved line which I drew over here. It's not going to the output capacitance. It is not leaking into the VI or anything. All right. So this practically ISC is confined within the window when both MP and Mn are in saturation. Okay, this is a very, very important thing for you to remember. Okay, in the VTC, voltage transfer characteristics of the inverter, when both the transistors are in saturation. So how does it look like? So if I again just recap a little bit, right? So remember these three lines, right? So if I remove this, this is the range where you are going to face the ISC, short circuit current. Okay, so what we are essentially looking at is we will first model this short circuit current, short circuit power, basically dynamic power. And as you can see, as I showed in the previous diagram, this happens only during the switching. That is why it is called dynamic. Okay, so this source of dynamic power dissipation, not consumption. So this dynamic power dissipation happens only during this small phase. So let us, what we will do is we will try to model this short circuit dynamic power dissipation. And from that mathematical model, we will try to understand what can we do to kind of minimize this completely zero, or if it is even possible. For that, what we shall do is we will look into the blue line first. Just consider the blue line. What is this blue line? That is the VI as a function. That's VI as a function of the time t in nanoseconds. Okay. All right. Usually in our previous lectures, we had seen the switching characteristics. So that was essentially the t on nanoseconds, and what was on the y-axis? It used to be VO as a function of time t, right? In this case, we are drawing VI as a function of time t. This is important. Please understand that. This is kind of crucial. So what we are essentially trying to measure is how does the current in microamperes, usually in microamperes, vary with time t. Okay, the input voltage, as we all know, it is supposed to be going from 0 to VDD and VDD to the ground. But during the switching, when we were essentially looking for, basically instead of Vi as a function of t, we were looking into Vo as a function of t, in which we had an assumption that the Vi was instantaneous. Okay. Now, in the short circuit dynamic power dissipation, what is interesting is when we are trying to model this short circuit dynamic power, we have to keep in mind that if Vi is perfectly instantaneous, please note what I'm trying to tell you. This is very, very crucial, conceptual also. If Vi is perfectly ideal step function, as we can say, then there will not be any short circuit dynamic power at all. Why? Because you are essentially switching all the way from, let me use a different color. You're essentially switching from here straight like this and this, right? So there is hardly any duration in which the current will essentially go up and come down. Otherwise, in other words, the current will essentially be a spike function. Yes or no? In fact, you can see that the red ones are still spiked, but even then it is not an ideal one. There is a spread in the time domain, T1 to T3. Okay, and that is essentially what leads to the short circuit power. Okay, so in this case, what we will understand is that Vi is going from 0 to VDD. Okay, Vi is going from 0 to VDD and VDD to 0, and these transitions will happen exactly at what instance? T by 2 and capital T here. Okay, this is 0. All right, so what we are looking at is what is that at every half cycle instance. Okay, that means 0, T by 2, capital T, and so on. Every half cycle you are going to have a transition, and during that transition, the transition will happen not only for Vi, the transition will also happen for Vo as well. Okay, but we are not considering the Vo, we are considering Vi. All right, all right. So when Vi is going from 0 to VDD, okay, then as I said, the short circuit component of the current will practically be confined only within the when both the transistors are in saturation. Why is that? Because both the transistors will essentially be consuming the maximum amount of current. Okay, and if I draw the same thing over here, for example, in VLSI design projects, even in the advanced VLSI design projects, ADVD, whatever, in the projects, what I have seen is that many of your seniors used to make the same mistake. They will simply draw the VDD curve. Okay, but in this course, we are essentially concentrating on the low power aspects as well. And it's not just as well, it's the most important part of this course. Okay, so what we have to understand is that whenever you are going to show the reports of your projects, or whenever we are going to have any discussions, I want you to plot the current as well on the same plot. That's just the way I have done. Okay, the reason is the current is going to be the maximum. Okay, exactly at which point? At the inverter threshold. Okay, so at the inverter threshold, which is exactly the, as I excuse me, as I had discussed, inverter threshold, that means here inverter threshold will be exactly in the middle. Okay, so that means at that point, at that instant, both the transistors are consuming the maximum amount of power, maximum amount of current. Okay, so that will be having the maximum short circuit component as well. Fine. Now, exactly at the instance where the transition is crossing that Vm point, that is the midpoint or inverter threshold point, you are going to have a current spike. Okay, and obviously if you want to find out the instantaneous power consumed at that Vm point, what is, you are going to have the maximum amount of power consumption because the current is like the maximum. VDD is exactly VDD by 2. I mean Vi is equal to VDD by 2. Understood? So what we understand is this is what defines as one term which you might have heard before. So when you this term in short it is called PMPO. So whenever you are going into the market to buy a big like huge sound boxes, okay, that's not what you use for your home. Okay, that's what you go for the parties or DJ nights or huge halls, or let us say which you'll be using in the fest in bits, for example. Okay, those kind of huge boxes, they will be having this PMPO. That means what is the maximum capacity of the diaphragm to push the power. Okay, so what we are essentially looking at over here is that when the current is becoming maximum, okay, the maximum power which the circuit, this is a simple inverter, of course. You can of course think of an inverter as an active uh, uh, CS amplifier, active load CS amplifier. You can look into this as an active load CS amplifier, as I had discussed earlier, in terms of analog IC design. So you can think of it as this active loaded CS amplifier is essentially giving you the maximum peak power at that particular instance. Okay, so what does this PMPO uh, specification indicate? It simply indicates the capacity of the diaphragm to be able to throw or push that much amount of air. Okay, I mean essentially meaning that is the amount of sound it is going to produce, whether it will be able to tackle this maximum power or not. Okay, that is the rating of the PMPO. You will see 1000 watt PMPO. Okay, that's Philips, some powerhouse, Sony powerhouse or something like that they will call 1000 watt or 1500 watt PMPO. What does it mean? Now you get an idea as an electrical engineer. That 1500 PMPO, now you realize, is that what Surya sir said in the class? You are essentially going to have the maximum current multiplied by the VDD by 2 or whichever instance it is happening. So that is essentially going to give you the maximum thrust which you can expect from that speaker. All right. Now, if you are having this, why is this rating even necessary? Because if you look at the total duration, this peak happens only instantaneously, exactly at the point where the output, I mean input is crossing exactly VDD by 2. Yes or no? Okay, that's instantaneous. If the PMPO rating is less, and first of all, notice that the PMPO is going to be for a very short duration, right? From here to here maximum. Okay. So if it is very short duration, why bother about the PMPO? The reason is, suppose you are listening to Michael Jackson, or I don't know, who is the person in India? I mean, whoever, uh, whoever, whichever singer gives you lot of, uh, I mean, beats and all that, high beats. So what you will do is, in those cases, at every beat, okay, the beat will occur as T by 2, remember, okay. So every transition, whenever there is a beat, this current will essentially be huge. So if the PMPO rating is less, because you will think that, okay, the average current is always very less, average power is always less, so why bother about the PMPO? What happens is, whenever there is a beat, whenever there is a loud sound, essentially meaning a loud current going through the speaker's diaphragm, what will happen? The speaker will not be able to support that much amount of PMPO, even though the current is very high. What will happen? The sound will break. Okay. And what is the meaning of the sound breaking? Can anybody explain? So this is your time t. This is the current which is going through the diaphragm. Suddenly, Arijit Singh started shouting in the middle of his song. This spikes up like this. Okay. If your PMPO is low, what will happen is your circuit will allow only this much amount of maximum power. Then what will happen? Even though Arijit Singh or anybody, I don't know who are the best singers today. So what will happen is this will come here and it will start clipping. So this is what I was looking for. Okay. So essentially meaning that, sorry, go up. Okay. It will be so basically all this information will be lost. That is the basic concept of this clipping. Clipping of the peaks of the PMPO is basically the reason why you will get the, I mean, हम हिंदी में जैसे कहते हैं साउंड जो है ना वो फट जाता है, फटने की आवाज आता है. That means your speakers are not capable enough to handle that much amount of peak power. Got it? Huh? So what we have to understand here is that this short circuit dynamic power, okay, is essentially related to, I mean, it is somewhat related. It's not exactly the same. It has got a part to play in the determination of the PMPO rating of the speakers. Okay, very good. So let's proceed. That what I explained now is the practical thing which you must have noticed. You, for example, you get a cheap quality 200 rupees earphone, and then basically you start listening to the loud music. You will clearly understand the sound breaking at high notes. So this is the reason. That means your circuit is able, probably your circuit is able to provide that current. I mean, not probably, circuit is definitely able to provide that current. Because if the circuit is not able to provide that peak current or peak output, you will not even hear any problem with the diaphragm. You sometimes, sometimes many of you might have heard, no matter how loud you make your speaker, your volume, you cannot even hear properly. That means the internal circuit is unable to provide that much of power. So once you fix that circuit such that it is able to provide that peak power, then comes the second part, the quality of the diaphragm of the speaker. So if the diaphragm of the speaker is unable to kind of withstand that amount of peak maximum power output, then you will hear that breaking sound. Okay, excellent. So if now let's get back to the mathematics here. So if we want to model this, we need to determine the minimum mean, that is the average current during this spike. Okay, so this is a very complicated, this is not very, it's kind of complicated problem. So for simplicity's sake, what we will do is beta n equal to beta p equal to beta. That will make our lives simpler. Okay, and then VTN equal to mod of VTP equal to VT, यानी कि NMOS and PMOS दोनों के थ्रेशोल्ड वोल्टेज सेम है, उसका साइजिंग भी ऐसे बनाया गया है कि उसका बीटा भी सेम है. ठीक है. In that case, what happens is, what is the TR and TF? Remember, okay, you know the expression of tau p, tau n, right? CO beta n, you know that. Okay, I'm not, I keep forgetting the formulas. Okay, so TR equal to TF, Oh, as I said, I keep forgetting the formulas. So in your exams, either I will write the formulas in the question paper, or I will ask you to bring one A4 sheet of full of formulas. You can ask the PMMD students. That is what I have been doing throughout. So I personally believe that memorizing formulas doesn't make you a better engineer. Okay, that makes you a better, what should I say, Hmm, hard disk. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to me. Your innovations, your design capability is what makes you useful. Okay, when you get a job in, let us say, Intel, or this time our, what is that, MediaTek has taken excellent uh, packages. They have offered excellent packages, MediaTek, and also they have taken more number of students. So if you get into MediaTek, for instance, so they'll be looking for your design capabilities, not the capacity that you can remember the formulas. So I will always recommend, don't remember the formulas. And if any professor is essentially giving you questions where you have to memorize the formulas, you can really understand that the question is very bad quality question. Don't do that. Okay, coming back to, because nowadays it's just a matter of few, I think, milliseconds to get the correct formula from the web. Use your smartphone, you will get the correct formulas in milliseconds or even microseconds, depending on the internet speed. Okay, so there is no point in memorizing formulas. So in the exams, as I am telling you, you can write this equation on a piece of paper. And the questions will be set in such a manner that you have to figure out or whether to use this formula, or even how to use this formula to solve the problem. So these equations will, the formula sheet in the exams will just be sort of a guideline. In most of the cases, you will notice, you can ask your friends, PMMD students, as well as your seniors. In most of the cases, even these equations, writing down the equations doesn't help you in the exam. What helps you is your understanding. All right. So if I want to find out the mean, that means the average current during the spikes, okay, हम लोग क्या करेंगे? We are taking the average across the each time period. Okay, why each time period? Because we are still concerned about the PSC, that means the power. Okay, so power hai yani ki we are essentially going to consider the power dissipation per time period, then so that we can understand it in terms of per unit second, per unit time. All right, so what is the mean? 1 upon capital T, 0 to capital T, IT dt. Very simple. Now notice that your time period starts from here until the beginning of the VI starting over here. This is your total time period. Makes sense? So this is where I have drawn. Okay. So if this is your time period, you will understand that we are essentially going to have two transitions per time period. Okay. One is the rise time, other one is the fall time. हालांकि ये राइज टाइम नहीं है, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, दिस इज वेयर वीआई इज गोइंग अप. ये आपका फॉल टाइम होगा, यहाँ आपका राइज टाइम होगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ द आउटपुट वोल्टेज, बट इट डजंट मैटर, देयर विल बी टू transitions. That is what we need to get concerned here. Okay, so what we shall do is, just to make our analysis simpler, we will only consider from 0 to t by 2, half of the time period. That means only for one half cycle, and we will multiply it by 2, so that we need not bother about the how many are there. So basically I'll be concentrating only on one spike, and we will multiply it by 2. Make sense? Excellent. Now in 0 to capital T by 2, how many spikes will be there? देखो यहां तक है, एग्जैक्टली यहां तक है ना. इसके बाद से तो आपका ये सेकेंड हाफ साइकिल शुरू हो जाता है. So that means you are always going to have only one transition. Remember, again I'm repeating, we are considering only the number of transitions. I'm not speaking whether it is rise time, fall time. Okay? This blue line is just for your reference only. Right now we are concerned only about the current spikes. So in your project, I want every one of you, whenever, of course you have to do it, because I'll be asking about the power optimization. So whenever you're thinking about power, unless you do the current spikes, you will not be able to find out the area under the curve, as I spoke about in the last lecture. Area under the current curve is essentially giving you the power, I mean into VDD. Okay, so every half cycle you are going to have only one transition. ठीक है, ठीक है. अभी एक एक ट्रांजिशन में you can question obviously कि sir, in the first transition, in this transition for example, how are you so sure that it is going to be exactly the replica of the transition over here? Okay, we can understand that this transition here and this transition can be the same because it is essentially the same instance where vi is going from 0 to VDD. ठीक है, ये तो हमें समझ में आ गया. But you cannot say that this is going to be the same because here vi is going down. That is where this assumption comes into the picture. Okay, so this is practically realizable. That's why I've written. So if beta n and beta p are the same, VTN and VTP mod is the same, the threshold voltages are the same, the sizing is also the same. In that case, all right, in that situation, your TR and TF will be the same. That means the rise time and fall time will be the same. As a consequence, what will happen is each of these transitions, rather I should say, each of these current spikes in each of these transitions will be exactly the same. Okay. Therefore, so now you can understand how we are kind of, simplifying the problem. Okay. If I had not given this, then you have to again find out this one, and you cannot use this multiplied by 2 over here. You cannot use this 2 multiplication 0 to t by 2 because t by 2 is going to have a different transition also. It's a small complication, but if I do this, I mean, if I simply say that, okay, this is not equal, done. You have to find out you have to do the calculations for this separately and then add up to give you the total mean current in every time period. Got it? Very nice. All right. So this is this approximation, this 2 comes only if these are valid. Excellent. Abhi dekho, in each of these spikes also, the spike will happen between T1 and T3. What is this T1 and T3? T1 and T3 are the instances when the output voltage is crossing VTN and VDD minus VTP. What does it mean? ये T1 T3 का क्या मतलब है? I can consider from 0 to VDD, right? Why T1 and T3?
So region where NMOS and PMOS both are in saturation?
No, they are conducting, simply conducting. देखो, when Vi, unless Vi reaches VTN, socho, your NMOS is not going to switch. It is not going to conduct rather. So, as I said, this is in saturation. Okay, so saturation will happen mostly when this is reaching the spike. Very, I mean, where it is becoming very sharp. But the current conduction will begin at the instance when the NMOS is starting to switch on. So that is VTN, when Vi is equal to VTN. Remember, I'm plotting Vi over here. So that means when Vi is VTN, then only this short circuit current will start flowing up. But as I said, practically the entire ISC will be confined when both of them are in saturation, as Ashok has rightly pointed out. Okay, so but you cannot say that, okay, this short circuit current is only in the saturation region. So what we will do is we will consider the time instances where these transistors are switching on. and then when ISC, when the transistor is switching off, ये switch off कब हो जाएगा? When it is exactly VDD minus VTP. क्योंकि उसके बाद से like from here to here, although VI is changing, because I have drawn VI over here. Please understand, VI तो हम 0 to VDD ही करेंगे ना. VI varies from 0 to VDD. But the short circuit current will exist only when these two transistors are switched on. अगर कोई भी ट्रांजिस्टर स्विच ऑफ हो जाता है तो या शॉर्ट सर्किट करंट का आने का कोई संभावना ही नहीं है, राइट? यू आर गोइंग टू स्विच ऑफ एनी वन ऑफ दिस ट्रांजिस्टर्स, स्विच ऑफ या फिर सब थ्रेशोल्ड. Now that subthreshold point is another form of dissipation we will consider as the subthreshold leakage. That will be the next topic, next class. Okay, so for while considering the short circuit dissipation, we will consider as if the current transistors are switched off only. तो इन दोनों को तो स्विच ऑन तो रखना है ना मिनिमम, नहीं तो ये शॉर्ट सर्किट पाथ ही नहीं रहेगा. सो द कंडीशन दैट बोथ ऑफ देम आर स्विच्ड ऑन will be when Vi is between okay, very very interesting and important thing to remember. Alright, इसीलिए यहां पर हमने T1 and T3 की बात किए हैं. Okay, it's not 0 to VDD. Alright, very good. In fact, the instance from 0 to T1, the current is 0. ठीक है ना? Then the instance from T3 all the way to again the next T1 after the half cycle, again the current is 0. क्योंकि now you know that any one of the two transistors are switched off or simply leaking subthreshold leakage, and the subthreshold leakage is in nanoamperes. It will not appear in this microampere scale. Got it? Very nice. So हमें T1 to T3 निकालना है. T1 is the instance when the NMOS is switching on, Vi is equal to Vtn, and T3 is the incidence where I mean T3 is the instance where your PMOS is switching off at VDD minus mod VTP. Okay, so it's like this. This is your VTN and this is your VDD minus mod VTP, है ना? So this is what we drew for Vi, this is VO. समझो इस बात को, everybody. I hope you are understanding. VTN is the instance of T1. VDD minus mod VTP is the instance for T3. Okay, like 0 to T1 or anywhere apart from this, there is, I mean, there is no current flow because it is static now. Only sort of current dissipation will be the leakages. मैं leakages की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. We are only concerned about the dynamic power. That means whenever there is a switching over here. Excellent, right? Very good. Now, this is a new concept. Probably you never did it earlier. So just bear with me. It is slightly difficult, but once you understand, the conclusions of this is terrific. And the reason why it is so important, as I said, आपको separately PMPO जैसा एक rating बनाने पड़ते हैं just because of the short circuit dissipation. It's so important. Okay, it's like short circuit हो जा रहा है, so we have to think about it. All right, so this is T1 to T3. Now, if we take VTN, VTP, TR and TF, everything are the same, then what will happen is this spike is going to be perfectly symmetrical about its main axis, which is at T2, let us say. Okay, this is the rise time. So what happens is I will just be assuming the perfect symmetry of this spike. I will say T1 to T2, T2 to T3. They are all symmetric. So T1 से T2 करके यहाँ पर एक multiply by 2 कर देंगे. So you can imagine what huge level of simplification we are doing. Okay, but this is at least good enough to give you a workable understanding about what to do to reduce the short circuit power. Okay, it's not the exact value which you will be getting in real circuits. T1 to T2. So basically the whole point of this modeling is that you need to begin your circuit design at some point, right? So you design the circuit using the analysis what we have done based on the results of this analysis what we are going to do right now, and then you use cadence to fine tune your circuits to perfection. Okay, so that is the whole objective of this modeling. All right, so T1 to T2 यहाँ पर 4 by capital T IT हो गया. ओके अभी IT का कौन सा इक्वेशन लोगे? वेरी सिंपल, सैचुरेशन वाला लेंगे. क्यों लेंगे सैचुरेशन का? Because of this. Practically the short circuit, most of the part of the short circuit current is confined within the range where both the transistors are in saturation. Okay, इसीलिए हमने यहाँ पर सिर्फ बीटा एन लिखे हैं, but anyway remember beta n and beta p are the same. Okay, so I have chosen only the short circuit part, saturation part. सोच लो. Any confusions? Please ask.
Yes, sir. Sir, within VTN to VDD minus mod VTP, I mean, for a specific time, they both will be in saturation, but there are times where one is in linear and other is in saturation also,
Exactly.
right, sir? Then how can we fix it to saturation equation only?
Yes. I'm just zooming it so that I can show you better. Okay, let's see. See, this is the instance, T1 and T3 are the instance where the short circuit current starts growing. So what is this instance? Wherever Vi, this axis is crossing this point. And this is, what is this T3? When Vi is crossing this point over here. So please understand that the currents except this window of T1 and T3, it is totally switched off. I mean the current, there is no current. That part is clear. All right. Now the second thing which I am trying to do, T1 and T3 mein, as Ashok rightly pointed out, we are going to have a situation when one of the transistors is in linear, the other one is in saturation. Okay, in fact that is going to be for most duration of the cycle. So here the cycle is between VTN to VDD minus VTP. Correct? This is the switching range. Okay, इस switching में अगर आप देखोगे, the red one is a highly is an extremely exaggerated one because I drew it with hand. Okay, I will write a code in Python and you will see it will be like a spike only. It will be just like this, just straight line and then going up like that. It will be like this actually. When I'm using Python or Cadence, you will actually find like that. Okay, that means whenever there is a spike like that, straight Dirac delta function like kind of thing, then here is it very zero? No, it is not zero. There is, but still the current will be much lesser compared to the region where both the transistors are in saturation. But as Ashok rightly said, one of them will be in linear, other one will be in saturation, and that is for the most duration over here. As you can see, between T1 and T3 it is switching. For almost the entire switching activity, entire switching phenomenon, the transistor, I mean the short circuit current will be practically zero only. Except at T2, in the exact middle, when the Vi is essentially Vi or Vo is crossing the inverter threshold. Now you can understand the reason why inverter threshold is so important. So inverter threshold will keep coming in throughout our entire course. This inverter threshold is the point where you will be having the maximum ISC. So the approximation that I have done, okay, the first approximation we have done is beyond T1 and T3, there is no current here. That's why from T by 2, I simply put it to T3. From 0, I put it to T1. Okay, so this is 0 here. This is your T by 2 over here. तो हमने क्या कहा कि T1 में ही आपका यहाँ कोई approximation की बात नहीं हो रही है. You are not even supposed to have any short circuit component because the switching happens only between T1 and T3. There is no approximation here. Okay, so you are going to have zero current between these two. Definitely. यहां पर कोई approximation की बात नहीं है, ठीक है, क्योंकि वहां पर switching ही नहीं होगा यार. That is the reason why we could write like that. Okay, very good. अभी next approximation हमने यहां पर किए हैं T1 to T3 के बदले में T1 to T2. How come? How did we change from T3 to T2 and made 2 to 4? We have to think about the symmetry. That means how is that symmetrical with that BTN and all that? Now comes the part is that when we are speaking about only half of this, so that means T1 to T2 here, and I am assuming since the threshold voltages are the same, sizing is also made in such a way that beta n and beta p are the same, so they will be perfectly symmetric. Okay, वो भी मान लेते हैं चलो. Then in this case also you are going to have two situations. One is one of the transistor will be in linear, other one in saturation, and another part when both the transistors are in saturation. उसमें भी अगर देखा जाए इसमें भी the entire current, the practically this green spike which I am showing you will be kind of concentrated only within the region where both the transistors are in saturation. Okay, so we are going to ignore the part when one of them are in linear, one of them is in linear, the other one is in saturation. We will consider only the spike. So essentially meaning, why is this approximation even holds true? Because as I said, this one, practically the entire short circuit component is confined within the window when both the transistors are in saturation. Okay, so that is how we are able to kind of approximate this IT only in beta. I can remove this n over here, remember, but it will be simply the same beta when both the transistors are in saturation. Fine, Ashok, am I able to explain? So
Yes, sir.
there are multiple levels of approximations we are doing. Number one, ये तो होना ही है, and ये भी होना ही है. The approximation here is basically these assumption. Okay, the approximation here is from this actually. ठीक है ना? Very good. All right, so once we have that, remember one thing I must inform. In most of the textbooks or in the literature, people will take only this part as beta. In our course, we have taken this as beta. In fact, this way it is better because in practical designs, you will be working only with beta, not with this. Okay, so you will always be having one difference in the factor of 2. So if you go through the textbooks, you will actually find 2 over here instead of 4 because beta is not having this 2 factor. Okay, all right. So now our next exercise will be to find out what is this T1 and what is this T2. तभी तो हम इसको इवैल्यूएट कर सकते हैं ना इस इंटीग्रल को. ठीक है, कैसे करेंगे देखो. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल T2 का निकालते हैं. T2 is very simple. T2 is basically what? T2 is the instance where Vi is crossing VDD by 2, that is inverter threshold. Okay, now that means essentially it is T2 is exactly in the middle of T1 and T3. Rather, I can call it as an average. तो वो क्या होगा? T3 minus T1 is basically the rise time, है ना? Look, it is going from VTN to VDD minus mod VTP. So ये पूरा rise time हो गया. तो अगर ये rise time है या फिर fall time, if you think in terms of the output voltage, remember this is Vi. So, but rise time and fall time are the same over here. So this rise time or fall time उसका आधा हो जाएगा, है ना? So immediately we will say that T2 is equal to TR by 2. That is the first thing we can say. Now the problem is with T1. Okay, now see, in TR seconds, Vi goes from TR seconds कहाँ से? T1 से T3 तक है ना? It goes from 0.1 VDD to 0.9 VDD. Or for simplicity's sake, because remember TR seconds may not Vi actually. It I should write VO goes from this anyway. For simplicity's sake, we will say take 0 to VDD, because remember 0.1 VDD से 0.9 VDD कौन सा जा रहा है? Output voltage जा रहा है, ठीक है? So we will simply assume that Vi is going from 0 to VDD itself, because it is only 10%. Let us keep that like it. Okay, more accurately, it is actually 0.1 VDD to 0.9 VDD if you are taking 10% of allowance for the noise margin, which you already know for the switching. तो यहां पर अगर 0 to VDD ले लेते हैं, then Vi is equal to ये जो लाइन है ना, स्ट्रेट लाइन, दिस ब्लू लाइन, इसका इक्वेशन क्या होगा? VDD by TR into time T. Okay, so what do we get? VTN, when Vi is equal to VTN, the time is T1. Therefore, VTN will be equal to VDD by tau R into T1. So essentially what I am trying to drive at is simply unitary method, which we have studied in our class 5, 6 or something. Okay, अगर TR टाइम में, राइज टाइम में VI VDD तक जा रहे हैं, तो फिर T1 टाइम में कितना तक जाएगा? VTN तक जाएगा. ठीक है, that's what I've done. This is a more mathematical way of representing the unitary method. That's it. Okay, so VTN is equal to VDD by tau R TR into T1. Okay, यहाँ से T1 का वैल्यू हो जाएगा VTN TR by VDD. So this is another boundary condition. So how did we obtain this T2? Just from the physical understanding that T2 occurs exactly in the middle of this T1 and T3. That means exactly middle of the TR. That's why it is TR by 2. Simple. T1 कैसे निकाले हैं? That we have obtained from the slope of this Vi as a function of time t wala curve. That is essentially a straight line. Okay, very good. So all I have done is mean current is equal to beta n को बाहर निकालो. Instead of these T1 and T2, I have replaced it by the instances in terms of known quantities like VTN, VDD and TR. All right, excellent. और फिर Vi के बदले में हम लोगों ने क्या लिखा? We know this VDD by TR into T, उसी को लिखते हैं. Okay, now it's a matter of just an integration. ठीक है. However, notice that there is a dt over here and there is a t over here. Okay, so I will to put u equal to this whole factor, and then I will just carry out the integration. I am not going into this integration separately. Finally, you will end up in the I mean is equal to this particular value. Okay. Later on, when you are watching this video, you can pause over here and you can understand how this derivation is done. Okay, this integration is carried out. It's just a matter of substitution of variables. Okay, so once we have arrived at this final expression, what is the PSC, the short circuit power? There is a VDD here, and on the left hand side you have got the current. So if I multiply the current by the VDD, this VDD will be cancelled. That means VDD, you take it on the left hand side basically. You will be having VDD into I mean will be essentially the short circuit power. This is how you define the short circuit power actually. Okay, equivalent means this is the by definition. Okay, so once you have that, then you just pull 2 outside and you are left with this relation. Now please remember one thing, in the textbooks you will essentially find that instead of 6 they will write 12. In that case this beta n doesn't have this 2. ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, अगर आप यहाँ पर 12 लेते हो, if you are copying from the book or studying from the book, absolutely fine, you just put 12 here, but please remember, in that case you should not take 2 over here. The reason why I am putting this, it will be easier later on for making designing circuits. We will start circuit designing within the next week itself. Okay, so over there you will see it will be cumbersome to calculate 2 every time. Okay, whether it is 6 or 12 depends on whether beta n is having a 2 here or not. Okay, so this is your final model for the short circuit power. Okay, so again the same exercise that we did for the PSW, that means switching power के लिए जो हमने किया था. What are the factors it is depending on? First of all, so as I had reiterated in our previous lecture, any kind of dynamic power, okay, please understand this, whether it is short circuit power या फिर switching power, they are directly dependent on the frequency of operation. Okay, again we are coming back to the same square one जो हमने switching power के लिए बताए थे. Unless it is specifically necessary for you to design the circuits at high frequency, just make it for low frequency and medium frequency ranges. Okay, you don't need to design for gigahertz if your application will work perfectly well in megahertz itself, because this is going to be a direct proportionality factor between the operating frequency and the short circuit power as well as the switching power. यानी कि dynamic power आपका linearly proportionately बढ़ेगा if you are using for high frequency applications. Okay, that's number one. Then based on this, what can be done to minimize the short circuit power? The best one is ideally VDD if you can make it as 2 VTN. अगर आप किसी तरह से ये कर सकते हो, what does it mean? आप कितना भी फ्रीक्वेंसी कर लो, जो मैंने पहले ही बताया कि दिस रेस्ट्रिक्शन इज ऑलवेज देयर. सो जितना हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी बढ़ाओगे उतना का शॉर्ट सर्किट पावर भी बढ़ेगा. शॉर्ट सर्किट पावर इज जस्ट wasted power, dissipation. However, if we can somehow design the circuit like this, VDD equal to twice VTN, from the equation itself you will understand PSC will be 0 irrespective of any other factor. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do ideally. Okay, now I want you to tell me, for example, remember when I was plotting in the on Python में हम लोगों ने VDD कितना लिया था? In our Python code we took VDD equal to 1 volt and VT equal to 0.5. This is actually matching this, right? That means in our Python code, whatever results you are getting, they are actually satisfying this short circuit power should be equal to 0. In the next class or sometime whenever I have got time, I will essentially plot this in Python, and I will show you the influence of each of these factors in Python results. Then you will have a clear idea like what is the influence of VT. So clearly, until now, whatever codes I have written in Python, which I have showed you basically, switching के लिए, noise margin के लिए, MOSFET operation के लिए, we always chose this, essentially meaning that the short circuit power will always be zero. Now my question is, what is the caveat of this part? What is the caveat of this? What is the problem if we keep VDD equal to twice VTN? समझ रहे हो ना मेरी बात? यानी कि अगर VTN VDD by 2 है, if VTN or if VT, let us say, is VDD by 2, by the way, it's not just VTN, it is mod of VTP and VTN are the same. If VT is equal to VDD by 2, okay, then my question is that we can clearly observe that the short circuit power will be completely zero, eliminated. But what is the problem with this? ठीक है, मैं अभी नहीं बताऊंगा, it's already time. So what I will do is in the next class, I have already, I mean, today in the morning I was essentially ये जो noise margin वाला plot है ना, VTC, if you remember, I have not developed the model for this in Python during the classes. Okay, so I have already written the code for this. In the next lecture, just as an exercise, say on Monday we have a lab if we have time. So what we shall do is I will show you what happens when VT is exactly VDD by 2. ठीक है, तभी आपको क्लियर आइडिया हो जाएगा what is the problem if you are putting this, and that is what is the major issue. अगर if we could do it like the VT is half of the VDD, excellent, बल्ले बल्ले, आपका PSC का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं है, झंझट ही नहीं, awesome. But there is a huge problem in that. आप लोग सोचना, हाँ, I would be very very happy if anybody of you can discuss, and you discuss amongst yourself, and then in next class I will begin the class with that only, probably, hopefully, and then I'll be extremely glad if you can give me the answer. What is the problem if we put VTN equal to VDD by 2? Okay, and then what is the other options? Of course, आपको बीटा n and TR को कम करना है. ठीक है, बीटा एन कैसे कम करोगे? मिनिमाइज इन बीटा. कैसे कम करोगे?
Increase in channel length.
That is not much of an option because channel length, that means you are essentially violating the main principle of scaling theory only,
Technology.
no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What we can do is basically, in fact, channel length अगर बढ़ाओगे, the other one simple is that you take the minimum W. For example, when we are speaking about W by L ratio, no, let's take the case of the NP only. This one. All we have said is that your WP is going to be twice of WN. Okay. Now, what I have, but we did not say whether WN is going to 100 millimeter and this is 200 millimeter. This inverter is still going to work, but this is so damn foolish. Okay. So what we are suggesting is that instead of this 200 and all, you should just keep it for the minimum channel length. Got it? This L minimum is essentially defined by the technology node we are using. ठीक है ना? उस हिसाब से हम WP और WN को select करेंगे. Understood? Huh? So always try to keep the W by L as low as possible. That is what we can do. And how about the TR, the rise time fall time? You will notice that we can reduce the TR by reducing the output capacitance. ठीक है, CO को कम करके हम कर सकते हैं, output node capacitance. We will again see that how to reduce. Again remember, CO is equal to CL plus C internal plus the C parasitics, है ना? CL आपके हाथ में नहीं है, usually नहीं है, okay, because that there is load capacitance you have not in your hand. But as an IC designer, you can do something about this internal capacitances and the parasitics, which we will see it in the part of this course itself later. Okay, so what you have to do, you discuss among yourself, and in the next class you have to explain technically what are the problems if you put Vt equal to VDD by 2.
Sir,
Anyway,
sub
I'll be telling you the answer in the next class. Huh?
sir, sub
Yes.
threshold leakage will increase.
Yes, subthreshold leakages will increase.
Means I of sorry, no,
No,
it will
no, no,
increase,
no, no.
increase.
देखो, VT जो है ना, अगर subthreshold, in the next class we will begin with subthreshold for the embedded system students who do not know it yet. We will do it in the next class. Notice that this is your VT. What you are suggesting is that VT को अगर हम VDD by 2 कर देते हैं, that means we are increasing the VT यार,
Yes.
तब subthreshold कम हो जाएगा. ठीक है, think, discuss, and we will see it next class. Okay, thank you for joining, and that's all for today.